her soul if he cared enough to try. Lisa loved Frank, but he failed her. Frank lost his ambition, his drive. She had big plans before she met Frank, plans before her heart nestled with his, and on the eve of the big 4-0, she felt like her life was losing its hue. Frank had only managed to provide her with moments of greatness when she wanted a lifetime. Those 2 words, "I do," changed everything. They changed Frank. Frank was a 6'4" bronze demigod. He was gorgeous, and for 2 decades she'd been waiting for her husband to wow her, waiting for the all-consuming fire that she dreamed her marriage would be. Frank was the kind of man movies were made of, the kind that melted in your mouth. She just knew her life would be amazing, but that fire never really blazed. The memory was still fresh, still hurt. After only 1 week of marital bliss, Frank made a decision that changed their lives forever. The Masons weren't ready to be parents, and since they had planned to honeymoon for a year via a private cruise around the world, they were obviously aware of this truth. Their parentage was a stipulation, a business move. It may have seemed cruel, heartless, but their lifestyle was one they individually and, in this case, collectively, went to great lengths to maintain. Frank proposed after a mere 3 months of dating, but Lisa didn't mind. She was relieved. Lisa Rain had plans for that $20 million. Falling in love simply sweetened the deal. A chill tickled the skin. Her black lace spaghetti strap, top left, exposed, causing the tiny hairs covering it to rise. But it wasn't the warm island wind that made her hold her arms for comfort. It was the thought of that day. Lisa would never forget it. Mr. and Mrs. Mason went to meet with their attorney and friend, Jacob Wilson, expecting to sign a few papers to finalize the acquisition of Frank's inheritance. They were anxious to begin their happily ever after when Wilson revealed an unexpected brick wall. The money would be released upon the birth of a child. Lisa felt like she'd been blindsided by an armored truck. Had she not been sitting, she would have fainted with the news. Frank was stoic, however, like he'd known all along. The happy couple rode home in silence. They had never discussed children, ever. But it wasn't the news of the child that now turned her stomach into knots. It was Frank's reaction. Frank didn't speak a word for nearly a week. Not even hello or goodbye. Lisa still wasn't privy to the details, but one day, Frank came home with a new baby girl. In the blink of an eye, everything changed. Lisa grew to love Brianna, but women generally had 9 months to prepare mentally, emotionally, and physically for motherhood. Frank gave her 24 hours. He was cold, calculating, too much for her comfort. The shimmer that she was accustomed to seeing was missing from his hazel eyes when he told her about the adoption. Every fiber of her being screamed out that something was amiss, but she made her peace with it and raised Brianna with all the love she could muster. There was no way she was walking away from her new life. She tried her best to give Brianna what she had not been afforded as a child. Though her many efforts to conceive with Frank had not been rewarded, she was proud of the intelligent young woman Brianna had become. Frank, however grand a father, had grown to be an absent husband over the years. He had slowly disappeared and withdrew from their marriage, a few broken promises at a time. At the budding of the Mason family, the 3 would travel together. They shopped in Milan and vacationed in Paris. Brianna had been to Italy, Greece, and Egypt before she turned 5 years old. They spent countless nights in exotic places. Once Brianna reached school age, they slowed down, traveled less, and eventually stopped altogether. Frank would go months without even touching Lisa, barely showing any interest. His every waking hour was consumed with Brianna. Although Lisa was not the jealous type, long stints of celibacy were cancerous to a marriage. On the contrary,